What's up, everybody? I'm Greg Miller, and this is the Pride of Long Island. Colin Moriarty.
It's good to see you, Greg.
It's good to see you. We don't hang out enough. Colin, we started this thing called the Kinda Funny Video Game Book Club. You know about it?
I'm well aware of it, yeah.
All right, so the idea is every month we're going to pick a game, a seminal game to play through with you, the Kinda Funny Games community. You guys play it, we play it, and then over on patreon.com/kindafunnygames, we have a $15 tier where 3 of you can jump in, back it for that amount, get the game for free, play along with everybody else, and then do a conversation with me or whoever about that game. Then that 4-person conversation is live streamed. There's a chat over here with everybody who's been playing the game. Then we put it on YouTube for everybody to enjoy.
That's going to be a good time.
So when I pitched this idea to you, you said it had to be a game that mattered. You picked Super Metroid.
Yep, Super Metroid.
I've started playing Super Metroid. I'm playing it for the first time. I'm not very good at it. Today we're starting the game for like 10 minutes or so, so you can play, show people why it's cool, explain what this game's legacy is.
Yeah, so as far as I remember, this takes place after Metroid 2, which is a Game Boy game. To kind of catch people up, the original Metroid was a really unique game. It was made by R&D1, which is one of Nintendo's studios, internal studios, still exists. They made Metroid and Kid Icarus. That's really what they're most well known for on the NES. They also did like the original Mario Brothers, not Super Mario Brothers, but Mario Brothers. At least the porting on that. And the game came out in 1994, and it was a while since we had seen a Metroid game. So this is literally taking you back to Metroid 2, like even the black and white graphics and stuff, kind of catching up on the story. Metroid came out, right after NES launch. Metroid 2 came out, just a couple years after Game Boy launch. So this was basically the Super Nintendo iteration. And it's somewhat late, kind of mid to late SNES game. It came out in spring 1994. What was cool about this game compared to a lot of Super Nintendo games, whether first party or third party, was that it came out worldwide around the same time. It came out in Japan, I think, only a month before it came out in the United States, which is somewhat rare here. And you can see that there's like kind of a little Metroid hatching here.
Yeah. Because that's the end of the last game, right, where the Metroid follows her out. She befriends this baby Metroid she's got to take care of.
And Samus is kind of just catching you up on everything and presuming that you didn't play Metroid 2.
Right,
maybe the original. And obviously, I mean, the story, apart from the story, I mean, the story is really interesting to me in Metroid, but it's really the gameplay, and that's really what's most important, I think, is the gameplay and how seminal it is, and how there's so many games that you can point to, specifically the way Castlevania went in the late 90s and early 2000s, that would have simply not happened if it wasn't for Super Metroid.
The Metroidvania, they call it. Exactly. So many games do it now.
Exactly. And the original Metroid is very similar to the Super Metroid, except for you have a map and kind of the way you visualize everything goes a little differently. And so when you have Super Metroid, well, you can Super Metroid is considered by many to be one of the best games of all time. I wouldn't dispute that. I think Symphony of the Night is a much better game, the PlayStation and Saturn game from 1997. Sure. But Symphony of the Night is Super Metroid, in many ways, and hopefully we'll get to that game as well.
In our series here, the Video Game Book Club. There's no real book involved.
No.
It just makes the most sense that you wrap your head around what's happening. We all play the same thing. We talk about it. Well, this storytelling on this level wasn't something that we were used to on SNES in terms of this kind of game, was it?
No.
I mean, you're in the time, right? Your giant RPGs are giving you this story, but here, this is interesting.
It is interesting in the sense that the original Metroid had very sparse story. You were kind of just doing your own thing.
Doing your thing.
And there's a real eeriness to Super Metroid, I think, especially in the beginning, because you're revisiting some old places that you've been.
Sure.
And so when you play the game, but you see the map in the corner, it's kind of a new touch and a different touch. So while you're shooting doors, and we'll see that in a little while, and I'm not going to be playing super well because the button mapping on Wii U is so bizarre. We have to really remap these buttons when we play it further. But the DNA of this game is all over the industry. It's really fun.
Sure, yeah. I mean, you can look at games if to catch you up to more current times, right? Shadow Complex, obviously doing stuff like this. People always talk about Arkham Asylum being a Metroidvania game. These are, for you, the definition of a Metroidvania game, right, would be what? The ability that you're going to see things you can't get to, right? That you can't unlock yet. But then you go back, get a different item, get a different weapon. That changes everything.
Right, and I think that, what you're really seeing...
Look out!
It's Ridley.
Pterodactyl!
It's Ridley.
How do you know the names of these creatures? Other than the fact growing up in the time, right, you came home from Toys R Us. Is it in the manual you're reading? Is that what's telling you it's Ridley?
No, I mean, he's in all the Metroid games, so I mean, we knew him even from the beginning, but...
So at some point, he had a cutscene text screen that said his name.
Yeah, presumably.
Because Tim was asking me about where I am in the game, and if I fought, I don't even know, if I fought Craig Harris. And I said, I don't know. None of these goddamn creatures have names. And I said, what does he look like? And he goes, he's green. And I'm like, I fought a lot of green guys, Tim. I have all these different weapons and items and stuff. I don't know what any of them do or things. I don't know. And even if he would have said, if he would have said, did you fight the purple pterodactyl? I'd have been like, yeah. I remember that purple.
No, how can you forget him? So
and he does that thing, and he's gone. And then
Yep.
it's emergency time, bro.
And I love that kind of. That might be even like a Mode 7 effect. So now we're bouncing out,
You're right.
and you can see all the lighting's different now. Everything's kind of going a little crazy, screen shake. I mean, you have to put yourself. I mean, it's crazy. This game's 21 years old.
Yeah.
And when you really go back and think about it, how incredible this was.
Yeah. I can imagine. You know, I was over there obviously playing on the Sega Genesis. We didn't have storytelling of this caliber over there. Sonic wasn't spinning a yarn.
Phantasy Star did it pretty well, but yeah, like you definitely didn't have anything like this. I mean, you didn't have anything even close to this quality. On
Jurassic Park,
Genesis.
the game, probably got pretty close.
That's
Dr.
actually
Grant on the river.
That's actually a really good point.
Yeah, thank you. As long as we're just giving Jurassic Park the game the credit it deserves. Also, cool spot.
Cool spot, of course.
Yeah.
But you had like
seminal.
You had like Shining Force, and you had some good storytelling, but it was of one genre, let's say.
Okay.
So you know, the way the game sets the tone, right?
Yeah.
I mean, like it's dark, it's interconnected, it encourages you to have knowledge of the two previous Metroid games.
Yeah.
And it kind of eliminates the mystique of those Metroid games by already giving you more story than I felt like was in either of the other games in terms of like literal storytelling. Samus talking to you and letting you know what happened.
She's doing her Doogie Howsey diary there.
Exactly.
Dear Diary, today I bounty hunted people, which I never really did. I always just run around fucking hunting these little Metroid people. Then I'm going to be in the other end one day and have a ghost voice. Remember that?
How can I forget?
I wanted to save the baby Metroid, but I couldn't find a way. Now, Tim was talking about this earlier. This was a big deal. Running to the left of the screen in this game.
Yeah, and it's the way the original Metroid begins. You know, like there's something unintuitive about it. What's funny is that a lot of people don't. You have to look at Metroid and Kid Icarus on NES as very similar games in the sense that they were both just radically different from one another.
Right.
And they were different from everything else at the time. Kid Icarus was like a huge game that spanned, was linear but spanned like all these worlds and was very difficult. Released on the same day or around the same time as Metroid, which was this non-linear, like mind-blowing game when you really like kind of get down to it. And so I just want to show people some parts, just some brief parts of this game. I don't want to get too deep into it because I really do I want people to kind of see it for themselves. And
you play it along with us.
I feel like I've already showed you guys almost too much.
At the end of the month, obviously, we'll get together, the 3 people off Patreon, and then everybody who wants to join the chat, we'll do it on Twitch, then we'll archive it, put it on YouTube. We'll all talk about this one game we played. See if it stands up, if it stands the test of time.
So here you are, I mean, in places you've been, in places that are familiar to people.
The places you'll go.
And I don't know. There's just the little touches like those creatures being on there and flying away. There's just little environmental things, like touches that I kind of feel like we take for granted today.
Sure, of course. Now you're.
And this obviously is a direct shout out to even that noise, the original Metroid.
Because this is one of the environments you'd already been to, right?
Well, exactly, but also like this you've been here.
Yeah.
And if we go to the left, we get the morph ball.
Hello. His dog, man. He hates morph balls. Bad feelings about Morph in the Marvel Universe, that's why. Morph. Thank you, Nick Scarpino. So you got that thing scanning, then you gotta drop your bombs there, you gotta shoot that thing.
What are the
You don't have bombs yet, actually. You gotta walk back and shoot, I think.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, but I'm also wondering, like, how is this mapped?
Who the hell knows? It's a Wii U gamepad.
Why? There we go. No, you don't. You have something to say to me? Anyway, I don't really want to show. Would rather not even really.
You want to stop here?
Yeah, I kind of want to stop.
Oh, okay, great.
Like, what is our plan in terms of showing people more of the game? Are we gonna have like some sort of stream? Are we gonna how are we gonna show them more Metroid? I
don't know if we're gonna show more Metroid. It's the video. It's Kind of Funny's video game book club. You play along with us now. You've seen Super Metroid. You go play Super Metroid. If you're one of the people on Patreon, we give you Super Metroid. Then we all play it for the rest of the month. And then at the end of the month, we get together. We talk about what we saw.
It's gonna be a lot of fun. I'm really excited. This is a great game to start with.
Okay, great.
Yeah, Super Metroid, awesome. You can buy it. You should play the SNES original if you can.
Yeah.
If you can, it's on Wii and Wii U Virtual Consoles, and you can play it there. And I really think people are gonna enjoy it. And what I really want people to pay attention to when they play it, and there's just something. This is like nothing. You haven't seen any part of the game yet.
Yeah.
Is think about the genetics of Super Metroid. Think about where it came from, where R&D 1 came from when they made this game, how important it was, but also where everything in this game went into the games in the future, especially starting on the PlayStation.
Okay.
It's everywhere, and I think it's a really special game.
All right. Well, ladies and gentlemen, please join our video game book club. Play Super Metroid this month, then come talk to us about it at the end of the month. Of course, up until then, you can find everything we do at youtube.com/kindoffunnygames or twitch.tv/kindoffunnygames, where we put up all sorts of cool streams. Portillo is licking his lips right into the microphone, so you know that's making Colin really happy. Until next time, it's been our pleasure to serve you.
There's a little bonus post-credit thing
Lean into his chest and
that
talk.
maybe we might need to do. Go back up the elevator. I might have missed you saying this.
Yeah,
I'm pretty sure you know this, but I remember I was playing with
Shoot that. Yeah,
my boy Justin Davis.
I know
over at
JD.
IGN, and he, as a huge Super Metroid fan, never realized this. So there might be some people out there that don't know.
Yeah, I want to see what you're. I'm not even sure.
You definitely know.
Okay.
But the room you went through was the final boss room.
Right.
Yes. People don't know that. Just want to show them, motherfuckers.
You want to learn it, some people.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so this room is the final room in the original Metroid. Like, where is it? That is where Mother Brain is chilling.
It's very cool.
Learn something.
It's important that you
Book club.
Let's learn something.
Shut up, Nick.